Sot po fillojmë incizimin pas një pauzi mjaft të gjatë me who is dhe who was. Videoja e parë do të shihni who is, kush është, who was, kush ishte me shumë folje. Ju përshëndes duke ju dëshiruar sukses. Who is a doctor? Tom is a doctor. A ose e tregon numrin 1. Who was a doctor? Tom was a doctor. Was ka kuptimin isha dhe ishte. Who is a good doctor? Tom is a good doctor. Who was a good doctor? Tom was a good doctor. Kush ishte mjek i mirë? Tomi ishte mjek i mirë. Kush është mjek i mirë? Who is your friend? Beckham is my friend. Ose Drita is my friend. Who was your friend? Beckham was my friend. Who is behind the door? My sister is behind the door. Who is near the window? My brother is near the window. Who is a clever student? Jim is a clever student. Who is a busy teacher? Drita is a busy teacher. Who was a clever student? Jim was a clever student. Who was a busy teacher? Drita was a busy teacher. Who plus is, që shkurt who is dhe folja kryesore. Who is helping you? My mother is helping me. Who was helping you? My mother was helping me. Who is reading? Tom is reading. Who was reading? Tom was reading. Who is she? She is my sister. Who was she? She was my sister. Who is he? He is my brother. Who was he? He was my brother. Who is a lazy boy? John is a lazy boy. Who was a lazy boy? John was a lazy boy. Who is buying bread? My father is buying bread. Who was buying bread? My father was buying bread. Pra kuptimin po e dini edhe po ecim pak ma shpejt për kthimin e keni ju lutem dhe të qarta. Who is selling meat? My uncle is selling meat. Who was selling meat? My uncle was selling meat. Who is hating you? Afrim is hating me. Who was hating you? Afrim was hating me. Who is waiting outside? Drita is waiting outside. Who was waiting outside? Drita was waiting outside. Who is this boy? He's my brother. Who was this boy? He was my brother. Who is this girl? She's my sister. Who was this girl? She was my sister. Who is that boy? That is my brother. Who was that boy? That was my brother. Who is that girl? That is my sister. Who was that girl? She was my sister. Who is Tom's father? Jim is Tom's father. Who was Tom's father? Jim was Tom's father. Vazhdojmë me videon e parë. Who is his father? Jim is his father. Who was his father? Jim was his father. Tom is a doctor. His father was a doctor. Who is Drita's father? Afrim is Drita's father. Who is her father? Afrim is her father. Help her. Her doll. Veni recto. Who was Drita's father? Afrim was Drita's father. Who was her father? Afrim was her father. Who is our teacher? Driton is our teacher. Who was our teacher? Driton was our teacher. Who is their teacher? Beckham is their teacher. Mary is their teacher. Who was their teacher? Beckham was their teacher. Who is plus folja kryesore. Ja disa shembuj e ma vonë shumë folje. Who is coming? My friend is coming. Who was coming? My friend was. Përgjigja pra me këto dyja was, is edhe was I lutem. Who is writing? Kush është duke shkruar? My friend is writing. Who was writing? Kush ishte duke shkruar. My friend was writing. Who is smiling? Kush është duke buzëqeshur. Who was smiling? Kush ishte duke buzëqeshur. My friend is smiling. My friend was smiling. Who is hating you? My friend is hating me. Who was hating you? My friend was hating me. Who is making coffee? Kush është duke përgatitur kafe? My friend is making coffee. Who was making coffee? My friend was making coffee. Who is loving you? My friend is loving me. Who is arriving? My friend is arriving. Who is baking bread? Kush është duke pjekur buk? My friend is baking bread. Ose who was baking bread? Kush ishte duke pjekur buk? Who is braking? Kush është duke frenuar the bus, autobusin? My friend is braking the bus. Shoku im është duke frenuar autobusin. Who is living here? Kush është duke banuar, jetuar këtu? My friend is living here. Kjo është video e parë Julius. Fillojmë incizimin e videos së dytë. Who is, who was? Who is your friend? Kush është shoku apo shoqja juaj? Tom is my friend, ose Mary is my friend. Who was your friend? Kush ishte shoku apo shoqja juaj? Tom was my friend. Tomi ishte shoku im. Ose Mary was my friend. Mary ishte shoqja ime. Julius edhe njëherë shikoni pyetjet me këtë dhe përgjigjet. Who is your teacher? Tom is my teacher. Who is your uncle? Tom is my uncle. Who is your aunt? Ose aunt, kush është hala apo tezja juaj? Mary is my aunt. Who is your sister? Mary is my sister. Who is your brother? Tom is my brother. Who is the driver? Who is your driver? Tom is my driver. Who is your player? Tom is my player. Who is your worker? Tom is my worker. Vazhdojmë. Who is a? Pa kët nuk bën. Who is a doctor? Tom is a doctor. Who is a good doctor? Kjo një tabel tregon pra që duhet kem kujdes. Who was a doctor? Tom was a doctor. Shumë e qartë, John was a doctor. Who is a teacher? John is a teacher. Who is a driver? John is a driver. Who is a singer? John is a singer. Who is a reader? Kush është një lexues ose lexues? John is a reader. Who was a reader? Kush ishte një lexues? John was a reader. Dhe mbi emri good. Who is a good reader? Pra e shihni ku ka vendin. John is a good reader. Who is very happy? Who was very happy? Kush është shumë I lumtur, I gëzuar? Kush ishte shumë I gëzuar? My friend is happy. My friend was very happy. Who is very old? Kush është shumë I vjetër? Who is very lazy? Kush është shumë dembel? Who is very busy? Kush është shumë I zënë me punë? Who is very hungry? Kush është shumë I urritur? Who is very angry? Kush është shumë I zemruar ose e zemruar? Who is thirsty? Kush është shumë? Who is very thirsty? Kush është shumë I etër ose e etër? Who is very clever? Kush është shumë I mençur ose kush është shumë e mençur? Who is very tall? Kush është shumë I gjatë? Who is very small? Kush është shumë I vogël? Who is at the door? Kush është te dera? Who was at the door? Pastaj japim përgjigjet. My sister is at the door. At the door. Who was at the door? Kush ishte te dera? My sister was at the door. Who is at the table? Who is at the window? Who is at the shop? Who is at the hotel? Who is at the tree? Who is at the desk? Who is at the theater? Who is at the cinema? Who is at the car? And who is at home? Këtu pra nuk duhet at the home. Përgjigjet, my sister is at the door. My sister was at the door. Who is playing with you? Kush është duke luajtur me ju? Kush po luan me ju? My brother is playing with me. Who was playing with you? Kush ishte duke luajtur me ju? My brother was playing with me. Who is staying with you? Kush është duke qëndruar me ju? My brother is staying with me. Who is working with you? My brother is working with me. Who is sleeping with you? Who is reading with you? Who is running with you? Who is swimming with you? Who is singing with you? Who is cleaning with you? Who is driving with you? My brother is driving with me. Dhe të gjitha foljet pra e keni një tabelë të qartë. Who is too busy? Kush o tepër I zënë? My friend is too busy. Who was too busy? Kush ishte tepër e zënë ose zënë me punë? My friend was too busy. Who is too happy? Who is too early? Who is too late? Who is too small? Who is too old? Who is too hungry? Who is too heavy? Who is too angry? Kush o tepër I zemruar. Who is too sad? Kush o tepër I pikluar ose e pikluar? My friend is too sad. Shoku apo shoqja ime është tepër e pikluar. Who is behind the door? Kush është mbrapa derës? Who was behind the door? My sister is behind the door. My sister was behind the door. Who is behind the tree? Who is behind the school? Who is behind the hotel? Who is behind the table? Who is behind the shop? Who is behind the building? Who is behind the chair? Who is behind the car? Who is behind the bus? My sister is behind the bus. My sister was behind the bus. Është inqizimi I videos së dytë. Po fillojmë inqizimin e videos së tretë. Who is looking at me? Kush është duke më shikuar mua? My friend is looking at you. Shoku apo shoqja e juaj është duke ju shikuar juve. Shoqja ime është duke ju shikuar juve. Who was looking at Mary? My friend was looking at Mary. Who is looking at her? My friend is looking at her. Who is looking at Tom? My friend is looking at Tom. Who is looking at him? My friend is looking at him. Who is looking at Tom and John? My friend is looking at Tom and John. Who is looking at them? My friend is looking at them. Who is looking at Mary and Anne? My friend is looking at them. Who is looking at you? My friend is looking at me. Është një tabelë e qartë, ju lutem të përsëritet disa herë, le do të kuptohet. Who is the oldest in your class? My teacher is the oldest in my class. Who is the youngest in your class? My teacher is, my friend is the youngest in my class. Who is the happiest in the class? Who is the happiest in your class? Kush është më I lumturi, më I gëzuar në klasën tuaj? My friend is the, përdorni the, edhe mbaresat veni re, the happiest in my class. Who is the smallest in your class? My friend is the smallest in my class. Who is the tallest? Tom is the tallest in my class. Who is the latest? Kush më I vonshmi? Mary is the latest in my class. Who is the laziest? Kush më dembeli në klas? Tom is the laziest in my class. Who is the busiest in your class? My teacher is the busiest in my class. Who is the hungriest in your class? Kush më I urrituri? My sister is the hungriest in my class. Who is the cleverest? Kush më I mençuri? My friend is the cleverest in my class. Edhe me who was, kush ishte? Who is older than you? Kush është më I vjetër se ju? My sister is older than I am. Ose my sister is older than me. Who is younger than you? My sister is younger than me. Than I am. Who is busier than you? My sister is busier than me. Who is the cleverer? Who is cleverer than you? Kush më I mençur se ju? My sister is cleverer than me, than I am. Who is hungrier than you? My sister is hungrier than me. Who is angrier than you? My sister is angrier than I am. Who is later than you? My sister is later than me. Who is earlier than you? My brother is earlier than me. Who is smarter than you? My sister is smarter than I am. My sister is smarter than me. Who is he? He is my friend. Who was he? He was my friend. Who is she? She is my sister. Who was she? She was my sister. Who is this boy? This is my friend. Who was this boy? This was my friend. Who is this girl? This is my sister. Who was this girl? This was my sister. Who is a teacher? My uncle is a teacher. Who was a teacher? My uncle was a teacher. Who is outside? John is outside. Who was outside? John was outside. Who is inside? Tom is inside. Who was inside? Tom was inside. Who is with you? My brother is with me. Who was with you? My brother was with me. Pra kështu ju lutem let. Who is in your shop? Bekim is in my shop. Who was in your shop? Bekim was in my shop. Who is your friend? Driton is my friend. Who was your friend? Driton was my friend. Who is your brother? Besim is my brother. Who was your brother? Besim was my brother. Who is your sister? Besa is my sister. Who was your sister? Besa was my sister. Who is Tom's teacher? John is Tom's teacher. Who was Tom's teacher? John was Tom's teacher. Who is busy? My father is busy. Who was busy? My father was busy. Who is happy? My sister is happy. Who was happy? My sister was happy. Who is late? Mary is late. Who was late? Mary was late. Who is hungry? Mary. My mother is hungry. Who was hungry? My mother was hungry. Who is angry? Rita is angry. Who was angry? Rita was angry. Who is sick? My grandfather is sick. Who was sick? My grandfather was sick. Who is behind the door? Besa is behind the door. Who was behind the door? Besa was behind the door. Who is at the door? My friend is at the door. Who was at the door? My teacher was at the door. Who is in front of you? My mother is in front of me. Who was in front of you? My mother was in front of me. Who is under the tree? My uncle is under the tree. Is under. My uncle is under. Is under the tree. Who was under the tree? My uncle was under the tree. Who is that boy? That is my friend. Who was that boy? That was my friend. Who is that girl? That is my friend. Who was that girl? That was my friend. Who is near you? My teacher is near me. Who was near you? My teacher was near me. Who is in your office? John is in my office. Who was in your office? John was in my office. Deri këtu pra ishte një inqizim e tash fillojmë me folje, ju lutem. Fillojmë inqizimin e videos së past, ju lutem me folje, po I lexoj se përkthimi është book, rezervoj fusën e listë. Who's booking your tickets? My brother is booking my tickets. Who was booking your tickets? My brother was booking my tickets. Bore. Who is boring you? Mary is boring me. Who was boring you? Mary was boring me. Who is borrowing money from you? My uncle is borrowing money from me. Who was borrowing money from you? My uncle was borrowing money from me. Bow. Who is bowing in front of you? My friend is bowing in front of me. Who was bowing in front of you? My friend was bowing in front of me. Who is boxing well? John is boxing well. Who was boxing well? John was boxing well. Break. Who is breaking the bus? My father is breaking the bus. Who was breaking the bus? My father was breaking the bus. Breathe. Who is breathing fast? My grandmother is breathing fast. Who was breathing fast? Ose fast. My grandmother was breathing fast. Who is brushing the carpet? My sister is brushing the carpet. Who was brushing the carpet? My sister was brushing the carpet. Burn. Who is burning the fire? My uncle is burning the fire. Who was burning the fire? My uncle was burning the fire. Who is bearing him? His family is bearing him. Who was bearing him? His family was bearing him. Calculate. Who is calculating things? My teacher is calculating things. Who was calculating things? My teacher was calculating things. Call. Who is calling you? My sister is calling me. Who was calling you? My sister was calling me. Who is caring about you? My mother is caring about me. Who was caring about you? My mother was caring about me. Who is carrying your bag? My brother is carrying my bag. Who was carrying your bag? My brother was carrying my bag. Carve. Who is carving wood? My uncle is carving wood. Who was carving wood? My uncle was carving wood. Cause. Who is causing problems? Tom is causing problems. Who was causing problems? Tom was causing problems. Who is changing things? My father is changing things. Who was changing things? My father was changing things. Charge. Who is charging you for this work? John is charging me for this work. Who was charging you for this work? John was charging me for this work. Chase. Who is chasing the thief? The policeman is chasing the thief. Who was chasing the thief? The policeman was chasing the thief. Cheat. Who is cheating you? My friend is cheating me. Who was cheating you? My friend was cheating me. Check. Who is checking your bags? The officer is checking my bags. Who was checking your bags? The officer was checking my bags. Who is chewing? Who is chewing fast? My brother is chewing fast. Who was chewing fast? My brother was chewing fast. Video e 6. Chop. Pres drum, optoj. Who is chopping wood? My uncle is chopping wood. Who was chopping wood? My uncle was chopping wood. Claim. Who is claiming the bags? My parents are claiming the bags. Who was claiming the bags? My parents were claiming the bags. Clean. Who is cleaning the room? My sister is cleaning the room. Who was cleaning the room? My sister was cleaning the room. Clear. Spastroj. Ktjeloj. Who is clearing the water? My mother is clearing the water. Who was clearing the water? My mother was clearing the water. Close. Who is closing the door? Dad is closing the door. Who was closing the door? Dad was closing the book. Një korrigjim këtu. The door. Who is collecting old newspapers? My friend is collecting old newspapers. Who was collecting old newspapers? My friend was collecting old newspapers. Who is combing the infant's hair? My mother is combing the infant's hair. Who was combing the infant's hair? My mother was combing the infant's hair. Command. Who is commanding you? My father is commanding me. Who was commanding you? My father was commanding me. Who is communicating with you? My sister is communicating with me. Who was communicating with you? My sister was communicating with me. Who is competing with you? My friend is competing with me. Who was competing with you? My friend was competing with me. Who is complaining now? Mary is complaining now. Who was complaining last night? Mary was complaining last night. Who is concerning about you? My mother is concerning about me. Who was concerning about you? My mother was concerning about me. Who is connecting your phone? My uncle is connecting my phone. Who was connecting your phone? My uncle was connecting my phone. Who is continuing your work? My brother is continuing my work. Who was continuing your work? My brother was continuing my work. Who is copying your documents? My teacher is copying my documents. Who was copying your documents? My teacher was copying my documents. Who is correcting your mistakes? My teacher. My teacher is... My teacher is correcting my mistakes. Who was correcting your mistakes? My teacher was correcting my mistakes. Who is coughing now? My grandmother is coughing now. Who was coughing this morning? My grandmother was coughing this morning. Who is counting your books? My father is counting my books. Who was counting your books? My father was counting my books. Who is covering your tools? My brother is covering my tools. Who was covering your tools? My brother was covering my tools. Who is crossing the road? Becky is crossing the road. Who was crossing the road? Becky was crossing the road. Who is crying now? My sister is crying now. Who was crying last night? My sister was crying last night. Who is curing you? My doctor is curing me. Who was curing you? My doctor was curing me. Who is damage? Who is damaging the flowers? The children are damaging the flowers. Who was damaging the flowers? The children were damaging the flowers. Who is dancing with you? My friend is dancing with me. Also dancing. Who was dancing with you? My friend was dancing with me. Who is deceiving you? John is deceiving me. Who was deceiving you? John was deceiving me. Who is deciding to stay with you? My uncle is deciding to stay with me. Who was deciding to stay with you? My uncle was deciding to stay with me. Who is decorating the room? My father is decorating the room. Who was decorating the room? My father was decorating the room. Who is delaying today? My aunt is delaying today. Who was delaying yesterday? My aunt was delaying yesterday. Here's incisivi XI video. Ju lutem me folje. Fillojmë incizimin e videos së 7. Delight. Who is delighting you? My mother is delighting me. Who was delighting you? My mother was delighting me. Deliver. Who is delivering all newspapers? My friend is delivering all newspapers. Who was delivering all newspapers? My friend was delivering all newspapers. Who is depending on you? My children are depending on me. Who was depending on you? My children were depending on me. Who is describing the situation? My sister is describing the situation. Who was describing the situation? My sister was describing the situation. Who is deserving this punishment? Tom is deserving this punishment. Who was deserving this punishment? Tom was deserving this punishment. Who is destroying your country? The enemy is destroying our country. Let me hear. Who is destroying your country? The enemy is destroying our country. Who was destroying your country? The enemy was destroying our country. E korrigjim I lutem. Who is detecting the minds? My uncle is detecting the minds. Who was detecting the minds? My uncle was detecting the minds. Who is developing your country? We are developing our country. Who was developing your country? We were developing our country. Who is disarming you? John is disarming me. Who was disarming you? John was disarming me. Who is discovering everything? My uncle is discovering everything. Who was discovering everything? My uncle was discovering everything. Who is dividing them? I am dividing them. Who was dividing them? I was dividing them. Who is doubting on you? John is doubting on me. Who was doubting on you? John was doubting on me. Who is dreaming now? My grandmother is dreaming now. Who was dreaming last night? My grandmother was dreaming last night. Who is dressing you? My mother is dressing me. Who was dressing you? My mother was dressing me. Who is dropping the books? My friend is dropping the books. Who was dropping the books? My friend was dropping the books. Who is drowning you? My friend is drowning me. Who was drowning you? My friend was drowning me. Who is drying the grape? My father is drying the grape. Who was drying the grape? My father was drying the grape. Who is dusting the tables? My sister is dusting the tables. Who was dusting the tables? My sister was dusting the tables. Who is earning a good salary? My father is earning a good salary. Who was earning a good salary? My father was earning a good salary. Who is educating you? My mother is educating me. Who was educating you? My mother was educating me. Who is embarrassing you? My friend is embarrassing me. Who was embarrassing you? My friend was embarrassing me. Who is employing them? My uncle is employing them. Who was employing them? My uncle was employing them. Who is encouraging you? My aunt is encouraging me. Who was encouraging you? My aunt was encouraging me. Who is ending this story? I am ending this story. Who was ending this story? I was ending this story. Who is enjoying this game? I am enjoying this game. Who was enjoying this game? I was enjoying this game. Who is entering the hotel? My sister is entering the hotel. Who was entering the hotel? My sister was entering the hotel. Fillojmë inqizimin e videos 9. Who is guiding you? My teacher is guiding me. Do të bëjmë korrigjim. Who was guiding you? My teacher was guiding me. E lexojmë edhe një herë. Who is guiding you? My teacher is guiding me. Who was guiding you? My teacher was guiding me. Who is handling the keys to you? Tom is handling the keys to me. Who was handling the keys to you? Tom was handling the keys to me. Who is hanging your shirt? My sister is hanging my shirt. Who was hanging your shirt? My sister was hanging my shirt. Do folje keni të përkthyer. Who is harming you? My friend is harming me. Who was harming you? My friend was harming me. Who is hating you? Mary is hating me. Who was hating you? Mary was hating me. Who is healing you? My doctor is healing me. Who was healing you? My doctor was healing me. Who is heaping the books? My teacher is heaping the books. Who was heaping the books? My teacher was heaping the books. Who is heating the room? My mother is heating the room. Who was heating the room? My mother was heating the room. Who is helping you? My sister is helping me. Who was helping you? My sister was helping me. Who is hugging you? My mother is hugging me. Who was hugging you? My mother was hugging me. Who is hunting with you? My uncle is hunting with me. Who was hunting with you? My uncle was hunting with me. Who is hurrying to school? My brother is hurrying to school. Who was hurrying to school? My brother was hurrying to school. Who is identifying them? Who is identifying them? My friend is identifying them. Who was identifying them? My friend was identifying them. Fillojmë në qizimin e videos 9. Who is guiding you? My teacher is guiding me. Do të bëjmë korrigjim. Who was guiding you? My teacher was guiding me. E lexojmë edhe një herë. Who is guiding you? My teacher is guiding me. Who was guiding you? My teacher was guiding me. Who is handling the keys to you? Tom is handling the keys to me. Who was handling the keys to you? Tom was handling the keys to me. Who is hanging your shirt? My sister is hanging my shirt. Who was hanging your shirt? My sister was hanging my shirt. Do folje keni të përkthyer. Who is harming you? My friend is harming me. Who was harming you? My friend was harming me. Who is hating you? Mary is hating me. Who was hating you? Mary was hating me. Who is healing you? My doctor is healing me. Who was healing you? My doctor was healing me. Who is heaping the books? My teacher is heaping the books. Who was heaping the books? My teacher was heaping the books. Who is heating the room? My mother is heating the room. Who was heating the room? My mother was heating the room. Who is helping you? My sister is helping me. Who was helping you? My sister was helping me. Who is hugging you? My mother is hugging me. Who was hugging you? My mother was hugging me. Who is hunting with you? My uncle is hunting with me. Who was hunting with you? My uncle was hunting with me. Who is hurrying to school? My brother is hurrying to school. Who was hurrying to school? My brother was hurrying to school. Who is identifying them? Who is identifying them? My friend is identifying them. Who was identifying them? My friend was identifying them. Video numër 10. Who is ignoring you? John is ignoring me. Who was ignoring you? John was ignoring me. Who is imagining for a better future? My uncle is imagining for a better future. Who was imagining for a better future? My uncle was imagining for a better future. Who is impressing you? My teacher is impressing me. Who was impressing you? My teacher was impressing me. Who is improving your lessons? My teacher is improving my lessons. Who was improving your lessons? My teacher was improving my lessons. Who is including new lessons? My teacher is including new lessons. Who was including new lessons? My teacher was including new lessons. Who is increasing things? My friend is increasing things. Who was increasing things? My friend was increasing things. Who is informing you? My brother is informing me. Who was informing you? My brother was informing me. Who is injuring you? Who is injuring them? John is injuring them. Who was injuring them? John was injuring them. Who is instructing you? My teacher is instructing me. Who was instructing you? My teacher was instructing me. Who is intending to go? I am intending to go. Who was intending to go? I was intending to go. Who is interesting to buy this house? My sister is interesting to buy this house. Who was interesting to buy this house? My sister was interesting to buy this house. Who is interfering in your work? My friend is interfering in my work. Who was interfering in your work? My friend was interfering in my work. Video nimdiet. Who is interrupting you? My friend is interrupting me. Who was interrupting you? My friend was interrupting me. Who is introducing them? My friend is introducing them. Who was introducing them? My friend was introducing them. Who is inventing new things? My uncle is inventing new things. Who was inventing new things? My uncle was. My uncle was inventing new things. My uncle was inventing new things. Who is inviting you? My friend is inviting me. Who was inviting you? My friend was inviting me. Who is irritating you? Tom is irritating me. Who was irritating you? Tom was irritating me. Who is itching his fingers? My brother is itching his fingers. Who was itching his fingers? My brother was itching his fingers. Who is loving you? My parents are loving me. Who was loving you? My parents were loving me. Who is jailing them? The policeman is jailing them. Who was jailing them? The policeman was jailing them. Who ta korrigjojmë? Mos I kalojmë dy faqe, jo. Mirë është. Who is joining you? My friends are joining me. Who was joining you? My friends were joining me. Who was joking? My friend is joking. Who was joking? My friend was joking. Who is judging you? John is judging me. Who was judging you? John was judging me. Who is jumping here? Mary is jumping here. Who was jumping here? Mary was jumping here. Who is kicking the ball? My friend is kicking the ball. Who was kicking the ball? My friend was kicking the ball. Video 12 me folje të përkthyera, ju lutem. Who is killing them? The enemy is killing them. Who was killing them? The enemy was killing them. Who is kissing you? My mother is kissing me. Who was kissing you? My mother was kissing me. Who is kneeling in front of you? My sister is kneeling in front of me. Who was kneeling in front of you? Who was kneeling in front of you? In front of you. My sister was kneeling in front of me. Who is knitting these socks? My grandmother is knitting these socks. Who was knitting these socks? My grandmother was knitting these socks. Who is knocking at the door? My brother is knocking at the door. Who was knocking at the door? My brother was knocking at the door. Who is knotting this rope? My sister is knotting this rope. Who was knotting this rope? My sister was knotting this rope. Who is landing on time? My parents are landing on time. Who was landing on time? My parents were landing on time. Who is laughing now? I am laughing now. Who was laughing last night? I was laughing last night. Who is launching these ships? My uncle is launching these ships. Who was launching these ships? My uncle was launching these ships. Who is learning with you? My brother is learning with me. Who was learning with you? My brother was learning with me. Who is licking you? My dog is licking me. Who was licking you? My dog was licking me. Who is lying you? My friend is lying me. Who was lying you? My friend was lying me. Video 13. Lighten. Who is lightening the room? My mother is lightening the room. Who was lightening the room? My mother was lightening the room. Like. Who is liking the tea? My parents are liking the tea. Who was liking the tea? My parents were liking the tea. List. Who is listing you? My teacher is listing me. Who was listing you? My teacher was listing me. Who is listening to this music? My brother is listening to this music. Who was listening to this music? My brother was listening to this music. Who is living with you? My parents are living with me. Who was living with you? My parents were living with me. Who is loading the truck? My uncle is loading the truck. Who was loading the truck? My uncle was loading the truck. Who is locking the door? I am locking the door. Who was locking the door? I was locking the door. Who is looking at you? My sister is looking at me. Who was looking at you? My sister was looking at me. Who is managing your hotel? My uncle is managing my hotel. Who was managing your hotel? My uncle was managing my hotel. Who is marching on our street? Some people are marching on our street. Who was marching on our street? Some people were marching on our street. Who is marking on the table? My teacher is marking on the table. Who was marking on the table? My teacher was marking on the table. Who is marrying you? A rich boy is marrying me. Who was marrying you? A rich boy was marrying me. Who is measuring the room? My father is measuring the room. Who was measuring the room? My father was measuring the room. Video 14. Melt. Who is melting the sugar? My mother is melting the sugar. Who was melting the sugar? My mother was melting the sugar. Mend. Who is mending your shoes? My friend is mending my shoes. Who was mending your shoes? My friend was mending my shoes. Milk. Who is milking the cow? My grandmother is milking the cow. Who was milking the cow? My grandmother was milking the cow. Who is missing you? My mother is missing me. Who was missing you? My mother was missing me. Murder. Who is murdering that old man? A thief is murdering that old man. Who was murdering that old man? A thief was murdering that old man. Who is mixing the pudding? I am mixing the pudding. Who was mixing the pudding? I was mixing the pudding. Who is moving, please? My sister is moving. Who was moving, please? My sister was moving. Who is numbering the books? My teacher is numbering the books. Who was numbering the books? My teacher was numbering the books. Who is nailing the table? My uncle is nailing the table. Who was nailing the table? My uncle was nailing the table. Nailing the table. Who is naming them? My boss is naming them. Who was naming them? My boss was naming them. Who is noting them? I am noting them. Who was noting them? I was noting them. Who is noticing them? I am noticing them. Who was noticing them? I was noticing them. Video personlighet i låten. Push. Who is pushing the door? My sister is pushing the door. Who was pushing the door? My sister was pushing the door. Who is packing these boxes? My brother is packing these boxes. Who was packing these boxes? My brother was packing these boxes. Who is painting your house? My uncle is painting our house. Who was painting your house? My uncle was painting our house. Park. Who is parking the car here? My friend is parking the car here. Who was parking the car here? My friend was parking the car here. Who is passing the bridge? I said passing the bridge. My friends are passing the bridge. Who was passing the bridge? My friends were passing the bridge. Who is patting you? My mother is patting me. Who was patting you? My mother was patting me. Who is posing here? My uncle is posing here. Who was posing here? My uncle was posing here. Who is peeling the potatoes? My mother is peeling the potatoes. Who was peeling the potatoes? My mother was peeling potatoes. Who is peeping them? My friend is peeping them. Who was peeping them? My friend was peeping them. Who is performing high school? My sisters are performing high school. Who was performing high school? My sisters were performing high school. Who is permitting you to work here? My father is permitting me to work here. Who was permitting you to work here? My father was permitting me to work here. Who is phoning you? My friend is phoning me. Who was phoning you? My friend was phoning me. Who is picking apples? My brother is picking apples. Who was picking apples? My brother was picking apples. Video 16. Pinch. Who is pinching you? My brother is pinching me. Who was pinching you? My brother was pinching me. Place. Who is placing the table here? My uncle is placing the table here. Who was placing the table here? My uncle was placing the table here. Who is planning to work with you? My sister is planning to work with me. Who was planning to work with you? My sister was planning to work with me. Who is planting these trees? My uncle is planting these trees. Who was planting these trees? My uncle was planting these trees. Who is playing with you? My brother is playing with me. Who was playing with you? My brother was playing with me. Who is pleasing you? My mother is pleasing me. Who was pleasing you? My mother was pleasing me. Who is plugging the radio? My uncle is plugging the radio. Who was plugging the radio? My uncle was plugging the radio. Who is pointing to you? My teacher is pointing to me. Who was pointing to you? My teacher was pointing to me. Who is poking these sticks? My uncle is poking these sticks. Who was poking these sticks? My uncle was poking these sticks. Who is polishing the tables? My sister is polishing the tables. Who was polishing the tables? My sister was polishing the tables. Who is possessing all these shops? My uncle is possessing all these shops. Who was possessing all these shops? My uncle was possessing all these shops. Who is posting your letters? My friend is posting my letters. Who was posting your letters? My friend was posting my letters. Fillojmë videon 17, ju lutem. Pour. Who is pouring water on the carpet? My little sister is pouring the water on the carpet. Who was pouring water on the carpet? My little sister was pouring water on the carpet. Who is praying now? My father is praying now. Who was praying last night? My father was praying last night. Who is preaching in the mosque today? An old man is preaching in the mosque today. Who was preaching in the mosque today? Yesterday. Who was preaching in the mosque yesterday? An old man was preaching in the mosque yesterday. Who is preparing them? My teacher is preparing them. Who was preparing them? My teacher was preparing them. Who is presenting you? Presenting you. My teacher is presenting me. Who was presenting you? My teacher was presenting me. Who is pressing these newspapers? My uncle is pressing these newspapers. Who was pressing these newspapers? My uncle was pressing these newspapers. Who is pretending to hide you? My friend is pretending to hide me. Who was pretending to hide you? My friend was pretending to hide me. Who is preventing the problems? We are preventing the problems. Who was preventing the problems? We were preventing the problems. Who is printing all these books? My friends are printing all these books. Who was printing all these books? My friends were printing all these books. Who is producing flour? My uncle is, let me correct him, producing flour. Who was producing flour? My uncle was producing flour. Who is promising you? My teacher is promising me. Who was promising you? My teacher was promising me. Who is protecting you? My brother is protecting me. Who was protecting you? My brother was protecting me. Who is providing you all these books? My teacher is providing me all these books. Who was providing you all these books? My teacher was providing me all these books. Video 13. Who is pulling the door? My sister is pulling the door. Who was pulling the door? My sister was pulling the door. Who is pumping your car's tires? My friend is pumping my car tires. Who was pumping your car tires? My friend was pumping my car tires. Who is punching you? My father is punching me. Who was punching you? My father was punching me. Who is punishing you? My parents are punishing me. Who was punishing you? My parents were punishing me. Who is racing with you? My brother is racing with me. Who was racing with you? My brother was racing with me. Who is raising the flags? The children are raising the flags. Who was raising the flags? The children were raising the flags. Who is reaching on time? My sister is reaching on time. Who was reaching on time? My sister was reaching on time. Who is realizing everything? My brother is realizing everything. Who was realizing everything? My brother was realizing everything. Who is receiving your money? My mother is receiving my money. Who was receiving your money? My mother was receiving my money. Who is recognizing this country? I am recognizing this country. Who was recognizing this country? I was recognizing this country. Who is recording this film? My brother is recording this film. Who was recording this film? My brother was recording this film. Who is reducing the prices? My uncle is reducing the prices. Who was reducing the prices? My uncle was reducing the prices. Video Nizet. Who is repeating last lesson? My sister is repeating last lesson. Who was repeating last lesson? My sister was repeating last lesson. Who is replacing the chair? My sister is replacing the chairs. Tu një korrigjim I vogël. Edhe një herë, replacing. Who is replacing the chairs? My sister is replacing the chairs. Who was replacing the chairs? My sister was replacing the chairs. Who is replying to you? Who is replying to you? My brother is replying to me. Who was replying to you? My brother was replying to me. Who is reporting you? My teacher is reporting me. Who was reporting you? My teacher was reporting me. Who is reproducing corn? My uncle is reproducing corn. Who was reproducing corn? My uncle was reproducing corn. Who is requesting to study with us? My sister is requesting to study with us. Who was requesting to study with us? My sister was requesting to study with us. Who is rescuing them? My friend is rescuing them. Who was rescuing them? My friend was rescuing them. Who is retiring them? My boss is retiring them. Who was retiring them? My boss was retiring them. Who is returning the books? My brother is returning the books. Who was returning the books? My brother was returning the books. Who is rinsing the dishes? Tu një korrigjim e bëjmë. Një korrigjim do ta bëjmë. Shpërlaj ose shpërlaj. Përsërisim edhe një herë. Who is rinsing the dishes? My mother is rinsing the dishes. Who was rinsing the dishes? My mother was rinsing the dishes. Who is risking you? My friend is risking me. Who was risking you? My friend was risking me. Who is robbing the bank? Two young men are robbing the bank. Who was robbing the bank? Two young men were robbing the bank. Video 21. Ju lutem folje të përkthyera, po I lexojmë. Who is rolling the stone? My uncle is rolling the stone. Who was rolling the stone? My uncle was rolling the stone. Rub. Who is rubbing the carpet? My mother is rubbing the carpet. Who was rubbing the carpet? My mother was rubbing the carpet. Who is ruining our country? The enemy is ruining our country. Who was ruining our country? The enemy was ruining our country. Who is ruling our country? Our president is ruling our country. Who was ruling our country? Our president was ruling our country. Who is sailing with you? My friend is sailing with me. Who was sailing with you? My friend was sailing with me. Who is satisfying you? My friend is satisfying me. Tu një korrigjim do ta bëjmë. Satisfying you. My friend is satisfying me. Who was satisfying you? My friend was satisfying me. Who is saving money? My father is saving money. Who was saving money? My father was saving money. Who is sawing wood? My uncle is sawing wood. Who was sawing wood? My uncle was sawing wood. Who is scaring you? My friend is scaring me. Who was scaring you? My friend was scaring me. Who is scattering the balls? My teacher is scattering the balls. Who was scattering the balls? My teacher was scattering the balls. Who is scraping potatoes? My mother is scraping potatoes. Who was scraping potatoes? My mother was scraping potatoes. Who is scratching these numbers? My sister is scratching these numbers. Who was scratching these numbers? My sister was scratching these numbers. Who is screaming now? My friend is screaming now. Who was screaming this morning? My friend was screaming this morning. Video 22. Who is screwing these nails? My uncle is screwing these nails. Who was screwing these nails? My uncle was screwing these nails. Who is scrubbing the carpet? My mother is scrubbing the carpet. Who was scrubbing the carpet? My mother was scrubbing the carpet. Who is sealing your document? My teacher is sealing my document. Who was sealing your document? My teacher was sealing my document. Who is searching for new words? My uncle is searching for new words. Who was searching for new words? My uncle was searching for new words. Who is separating them? Our teacher is separating them. Who was separating them? Our teacher was separating them. Who is serving you? The waiter is serving us. Who was serving you? The waiter was serving us. Who is settling you here? My father is settling us here. Who was settling you here? My father was settling us here. Who is sharing the toys? My sister is sharing the toys. Who was sharing the toys? My sister was sharing the toys. Who is shaving you? My friend is shaving me. Who was shaving you? My friend was shaving me. Who is shivering in this room? My grandfather is shivering in this room. Who was shivering in this room? My grandfather was shivering in this room. Who is shocking you? My uncle is shocking me. Who was shocking you? My uncle was shocking me. Who is shopping with you? My mother is shopping with me. Who was shopping with you? My mother was shopping with me. Vidoni 23. Who is shrugging now? My grandfather is shrugging now. Who was shrugging this morning? My grandfather was shrugging this morning. Who is switching the lights on? My sister is switching the lights on. Who was switching the lights on? My sister was switching the lights on. Who is signing your diploma? My teacher is signing my diploma. Who was signing your diploma? My teacher was signing my diploma. Who is suspending them from work? My uncle is suspending them from work. Who was suspending them from work? My uncle was suspending them from work. Who is skiing with you? My friend is skiing with me. Who was skiing with you? My friend was skiing with me. Who is skipping these questions? My brother is skipping these questions. Who was skipping these questions? My brother was skipping these questions. Who is slapping them? My teacher is slapping them. Who was slapping them? My teacher was slapping them. Who is sleeping with you? My sister is sleeping with me. Who was sleeping with you? My sister was sleeping with me. Smash. Who is smashing potatoes? My mother is smashing potatoes. Who was smashing potatoes? My mother was smashing potatoes. Who is smelling the food? My mother is smelling the food. Who was smelling the food? My mother was smelling the food. Who is smiling? My sister is smiling. Who was smiling? My sister was smiling. Who is smoking? My grandfather is smoking. Who was smoking? My grandfather was smoking. Who is Who is, Tony corrigim, who is suspecting on you? My friend is suspecting on me. Who was suspecting on you? My friend was suspecting on me. Video 24 ju lutem. Who is sneezing? My grandmother is sneezing. Who was sneezing? My grandmother was sneezing. Who is surrounding them? The enemy is surrounding them. Who was surrounding them? The enemy was surrounding them. Who is snoring? My grandfather is snoring. Who was snoring? My grandfather was snoring. Who is surprising you? My friend is surprising me. Who was surprising you? My friend was surprising me. Who is supposing? My father is supposing. Who was supposing? My father was supposing. Who is supporting you? My sister is supporting me. Who was supporting you? My sister was supporting me. Who is sparing the time? My father is sparing the time. Who was sparing the time? My father was sparing the time. Who is supplying your office? My uncle is supplying my office. Who was supplying your office? My uncle was supplying my office. Who is suggesting you? My parents are suggesting me. Who was suggesting you? My parents were suggesting me. Who is spelling your name? My teacher is spelling my name. Who was spelling your name? My teacher was spelling my name. Who is spilling the milk? My brother is spilling the milk. Who was spilling the milk? My brother was spilling the milk. Who is spoiling your holidays? My friend is spoiling my holidays. Who was spoiling your holidays? My friend was spoiling my holidays. Who is spotting your trousers? My sister is spotting my trousers. Who was spotting your trousers? My sister was spotting my trousers. Video 25. Who is spraying the trees? My father is spraying the trees. Who was spraying the trees? My uncle was spraying the trees. Who is squeezing your shirt? My mother is squeezing my shirt. Who was squeezing your shirt? My mother was squeezing my shirt. Who is suffering? My uncle is suffering. Who was suffering? My uncle was suffering. Who is stamping your letters? The postman is stamping my letters. Who was stamping your letters? The postman was stamping my letters. Who is staring at you? My sister is staring at me. Who was staring at you? My sister was staring at me. Who is starting the game? My brother is starting the game. Who was starting the game? My brother was starting the game. Who is staying in the class? My friend is staying in the class. Who was staying in the class? My friend was staying in the class. Who is sucking milk? My little sister is sucking milk. Who was sucking milk? My little sister was sucking milk. Who is stepping on the floor? My father is stepping on the floor. Who was stepping on the floor? My father was stepping on the floor. Who is stirring the eggs? My mother is stirring the eggs. Who was stirring the eggs? My mother was stirring the eggs. Who is stopping you? My father is stopping me. Who was stopping you? My father was stopping me. Who is succeeding? My brother is succeeding. Who was succeeding? My brother was succeeding. Vidon is the just. Strengthen. Who is strengthening their skills? My brother is strengthening their skills. Who was strengthening their skills? My brother was strengthening their skills. Who is scratching her arms? Who is stretching her arm? My sister is stretching her arms. Who was stretching her arms? My sister was stretching her arms. Who is talking now? My father is talking now. Who was talking this morning? My father was talking this morning. Who is taming them? My uncle is taming them. Who was taming them? My uncle was taming them. Who is tapping the water? My mother is tapping the water. Who was tapping the water? My mother was tapping the water. Who is tasting the food? My mother is tasting the food. Who was tasting the food? My mother was tasting the food. Who is teasing you? My friend is teasing me. Who was teasing you? My friend was teasing me. Who is telephoning you? My friend is telephoning me. Who was telephoning you? My friend was telephoning me. Who is tempting you? My friend is tempting me. Who was tempting you? My friend was tempting me. Who is terrifying you? My friend is terrifying me. Who was terrifying you? My friend was terrifying me. Who is testing you? My teacher is testing me. Who was testing you? My teacher was testing me. Who is thanking you? Thanking you? My friend is thanking me. Who was thanking you? My friend was thanking me. Vidon is the just. Strengthen. Who is strengthening their skills? My brother is strengthening their skills. Who was strengthening their skills? My brother was strengthening their skills. Who is scratching her arms? Who is stretching her arm? My sister is stretching her arms. Who was stretching her arms? My sister was stretching her arms. Who is talking now? My father is talking now. Who was talking this morning? My father was talking this morning. Who is taming them? My uncle is taming them. Who was taming them? My uncle was taming them. Who is tapping the water? My mother is tapping the water. Who was tapping the water? My mother was tapping the water. Who is tasting the food? My mother is tasting the food. Who was tasting the food? My mother was tasting the food. Who is teasing you? My friend is teasing me. Who was teasing you? My friend was teasing me. Who is telephoning you? My friend is telephoning me. Who was telephoning you? My friend was telephoning me. Who is tempting you? My friend is tempting me. Who was tempting you? My friend was tempting me. Who is terrifying you? My friend is terrifying me. Who was terrifying you? My friend was terrifying me. Who is testing you? My teacher is testing me. Who was testing you? My teacher was testing me. Who is thanking you? Thanking you? My friend is thanking me. Who was thanking you? My friend was thanking me. Video 28 ju lutem type. Who is typing now? My teacher is typing now. Who was typing this morning? My teacher was typing this morning. Who is undressing you? My mother is undressing me. Who was undressing you? My mother was undressing me. Who is unfastening your belt? My mother is unfastening my belt. Who was unfastening your belt? My mother was unfastening my belt. Who is uniting you? My teacher is uniting us. Who was uniting you? My teacher was uniting us. Who is unlocking the gate? My uncle is unlocking the gate. Who was unlocking the gate? My uncle was unlocking the gate. Who is unpacking this box? My brother is unpacking this box. Who was unpacking this box? My brother was unpacking this box. Who is zooming this photo? My sister is zooming this photo. Who was zooming this photo? My sister was zooming this photo. Who is using your phone? My sister is using my phone. Who was using your phone? My sister was using my phone. Who is vanishing the spots? My mother is vanishing the spots. Who was vanishing the spots? My mother was vanishing the spots. Who is visiting you? My friend is visiting me. Who was visiting you? My friend was visiting me. Who is waiting outside? My uncle is waiting outside. Who was waiting outside? My uncle was waiting outside. Video 29. Walk. Who is walking with you? My sister is walking with me. Who was walking with you? My sister was walking with me. Who is warming the water? My mother is warming the water. Who was warming the water? My mother was warming the water. Who is warning them? My teacher is warning them. Who was warning them? My teacher was warning them. Who is washing the dishes? My sister is washing the dishes. Who was washing the dishes? My sister was washing the dishes. Who is wasting your time? My friend is wasting my time. Who was wasting your time? My friend was wasting my time. Who is watching TV? My brother is watching TV. Who was watching TV? My brother was watching TV. Who is watering the flowers? My sister is watering the flowers. Who was watering the flowers? My sister was watering the flowers. Who is waving to you? My friend is waving to me. Who was waving to you? My friend was waving to me. Who is weighing you? My friend is weighing me. Who was weighing you? My friend was weighing me. Who is welcoming you? My uncle is welcoming me. Who was welcoming you? My uncle was welcoming me. Who is whipping them? My teacher is whipping them. Who was whipping them? My teacher was whipping them. Who is whispering? My friend is whispering. Who was whispering? My friend was whispering. Who is whistling? My friend is whistling. Who was whistling? My friend was whistling. Who is wiping the mirror? My mother is wiping the mirror. Who was wiping the mirror? My mother was wiping the mirror. Video 3 wish. Who is wishing to go? My sister is wishing to go. Who was wishing to go? My sister was wishing to go. Who is working here? My father is working here. Who was working here? My father was working here. Who is worrying about you? My mother is worrying about me. Who was worrying about you? My mother was worrying about me. Who is wrapping this box? My teacher is wrapping this box. Who was wrapping this box? My teacher was wrapping this box. Who is wrecking the ship? Tom is wrecking the ship. Who was wrecking the ship? Tom was wrecking the ship. Who is wrestling? Wrestling? My friend is wrestling. Who was wrestling? My friend was wrestling. Who is X-raying you? My friend is X-raying me. Who was X-raying you? My friend was X-raying me. Who is yawning? My grandfather is yawning. Who was yawning? My grandfather was yawning. Who is yelling? My friend is yelling. Who was yelling? My friend was yelling. Who is zipping your bag? My sister is zipping my bag. Who was zipping your bag? My sister was zipping my bag. Tani pra këtu përfunduam me folje të rregullta deri tani dhe në vazhdim, ju lut, në vazhdim do të bëjmë gjithçka është e mundur të përdorim disa folje të parregullta me who is dhe who was. Video 31, ju lutem, pra në vazhdim, who is dhe who was me disa folje të parregullta. Begin. Who is beginning the game? My brother is beginning the game. Who was beginning the game? My brother was beginning the game. Drink. Who is drinking coffee? My father is drinking coffee. Who was drinking coffee? My father was drinking coffee. Who is ringing the bell? My sister is ringing the bell. Who was ringing the bell? My sister was ringing the bell. Who is sinking the ship? Tom is sinking the ship. Who was sinking the ship? Tom was sinking the ship. Who is singing? My friend is singing. Who was singing? My friend was singing. Who is swimming with you? My sister is swimming with me. Who was swimming with you? My sister was swimming with me. Who is digging this hole? My brother is digging this hole. Who was digging this hole? My brother was digging this hole. Who is hanging your coat? My sister is hanging my coat. Who was hanging your coat? My sister was hanging my coat. Who is sticking these photos on the wall? My brother is sticking these photos on the wall. Who was sticking these photos on the wall? My brother was sticking these photos on the wall. Who is winning the game? My uncle is winning the game. Who was winning the game? My uncle was winning the game. Who is breaking the glasses? My sister is breaking the glasses. Who was breaking the glasses? My sister was breaking the glasses. Who is choosing the books? My teacher is choosing the books. Who was choosing the books? My teacher was choosing the books. Who is freezing the food? My mother is freezing the food. Who was freezing the food? My mother was freezing the food. Who is stealing? Tom is stealing. Who was stealing? Tom was stealing. Who is speaking? My father is speaking. Who was speaking? My father was speaking. Fillojmë inqizimin e videos 32. Wake. Who is waking them up? My mother is waking them up. Who was waking them up? My mother was waking them up. Who is swearing in front of you? My sister is swearing in front of me. Who was swearing in front of you? My sister was. My sister was swearing in front of me. Who is tearing? My little sister is tearing. Who was tearing? My little sister was tearing. Who is wearing your shirt? My brother is wearing my shirt. Who was wearing your shirt? My brother was wearing my shirt. Who is creeping now? My little sister is creeping now. Who was creeping last night? My little sister was creeping last night. Who is dreaming now? My grandfather is dreaming now. Who was dreaming last night? My grandfather was dreaming last night. Who is feeding the baby? My mother is feeding the baby. Who was feeding the baby? My mother was feeding the baby. Who is feeling well? My sister is feeling well. Who was feeling well? My sister was feeling well. Who is fleeing now? John is fleeing now. Who was fleeing this morning? John was fleeing this morning. Who is keeping your bag? My sister is keeping my bag. Who was keeping your bag? My sister was keeping my bag. Who is kneeling in front of you? My brother is kneeling in front of me. Who was kneeling in front of you? My brother was kneeling in front of me. Who is leading our country? An old man is leading our country. Who was leading our country? An old man was leading our country. Video 33. Who is leaping now? My friend is leaping now. Who was leaping this morning? My friend was leaping this morning. Who is leaving the hotel? My uncle is leaving the hotel. Who was leaving the hotel? My uncle was leaving the hotel. Who is meeting them? My teacher is meeting them. Who was meeting them? My teacher was meeting them. Who is reading? My sister is reading. Who was reading? My sister was reading. Who is sleeping? My sister is sleeping. Who was sleeping? My sister was sleeping. Who is speeding the bus? My uncle is speeding the bus. Who was speeding the bus? My uncle was speeding the bus. Who is spelling your name? My brother is spelling my name. Who was spelling your name? My brother was spelling my name. Who is sweeping the tables? My mother is sweeping the tables. Who was sweeping the tables? My mother was sweeping the tables. Who is weeping? A child is weeping. Who was weeping? A child was weeping. Who is drawing? My brother is drawing. Who was drawing? My brother was drawing. Who is growing chickens? My uncle is growing chickens. Who was growing chickens? My uncle was growing chickens. Who is knowing them? My uncle is knowing them. Who was knowing them? My uncle was knowing them. Who is throwing stones? My friend is throwing stones. Who was throwing stones? My friend was throwing stones. Who is flying? My brother is flying. Who was flying? My brother was flying. Who is bringing books? My sister is bringing books. Who was bringing books? My sister was bringing books. Who is buying books? My teacher is buying books. Who was buying books? My teacher was buying books. Who is fighting with him? Or say, who is fighting him? My friend is fighting him. Who was fighting him? My friend was fighting him. Who is seeking money? My sister is seeking money. Who was seeking money? My sister was seeking money. Who is thinking about you? My mother is thinking about me. Who was thinking about you? My mother was thinking about me. Video 34. Who is catching the ball? My brother is catching the ball. Who was catching the ball? My brother was catching the ball. Who is teaching you? My teacher is teaching me. Who was teaching you? My teacher was teaching me. Who is driving the bus? My uncle is driving the bus. Who was driving the bus? My uncle was driving the bus. Who is riding your bike? My brother is riding my bike. Who was riding your bike? My brother was riding my bike. Who is writing? My sister is writing. Who was writing? My sister was writing. Who is cutting the trees? My father is cutting the trees. Who was cutting the trees? My father was cutting the trees. Who is hitting the dog? My friend is hitting the dog. Who was hitting the dog? My friend was hitting the dog. Who is hurting you? My friend is hurting me. Who was hurting you? My friend was hurting me. Who is putting the books here? My sister is putting the books here. Who was putting the books here? My sister was putting the books here. Who is shutting the windows? My mother is shutting the windows. Who was shutting the windows? My mother was shutting the windows. Who is spreading the news? My friend is spreading the news. Who was spreading the news? My friend was spreading the news. Who is sending you money? My father is sending me money. Who was sending you money? My father was sending me money. Who is spending your money? My brother is spending my money. Who was spending your money? My brother was spending my money. Who is binding this box? My father is binding this box. Who was binding this box? My father was binding this box. Who is finding money? My uncle is finding money. Who was finding money? My uncle was finding money. Who is grinding coffee? My mother is grinding coffee. Who was grinding coffee? My mother was grinding coffee. Who is winding the clock? My grandfather is winding the clock. Who was winding the clock? My grandfather was winding the clock. Who is selling meat? My uncle is selling meat. Who was selling meat? My uncle was selling meat. Video 35. Who is telling you? My friend is telling me. Who was telling you? My friend was telling me. Who is biting the apples? My sister is biting the apples. Who was biting the apples? My sister was biting the apples. Who is hiding the keys? My brother is hiding the keys. Who was hiding the keys? My brother was hiding the keys. Who is shaking the bottle? My mother is shaking the bottle. Who was shaking the bottle? My mother was shaking the bottle. Who is taking your bag? My sister is taking my bag. Who was taking your bag? My sister was taking my bag. Who is giving you money? My father is giving me money. Who was giving you money? My father was giving me money. Who is forbidding you to work here? My father is forbidding me to work here. Who was forbidding you to work here? My father was forbidding me to work here. Who is forgiving your mistakes? My father is forgiving my mistakes. Who was forgiving your mistakes? My father was forgiving my mistakes. Who is giving you money? My father is giving me money. Who was giving you money? My father was giving me money. Who is sitting here? My sister is sitting here. Who was sitting here? My sister was sitting here. Who is spitting here? Tom is spitting here. Who was spitting here? Tom was spitting here. Who is beating you? My teacher is beating me. Who was beating you? My teacher was beating me. Who is building this house? My uncle is building this house. Who was building this house? My uncle was building this house. Who is burning these papers? My mother is burning these papers. Who was burning these papers? My mother was burning these papers. Who is coming? My friend is coming. Who was coming? My friend was coming. Who is becoming angry? My friend is becoming angry. Who was becoming angry? My friend was becoming angry. Who is dwelling in this house? My uncle is dwelling in this house. Who was dwelling in this house? My uncle was dwelling in this house. Video 36 të do tjetë video e fundit me këtë ushtrim who is, who was, duke I përdorur 400 folje të rregullta dhe ju lutem 100 folje të parregullta. Do të thotë në këtë ushtrim morëm këto folje me ing form e pa tjetër duhet kur të vej në përdorim këto dyja ju lutem. Fjala është për is edhe was. Who is eating now? My sister is eating now. Who was eating this morning? My sister was eating this morning. Who is falling from the tree? My brother is falling from the tree. Who was falling from the tree? My brother was falling from the tree. Who is forgetting things? My brother is forgetting things. Who was forgetting things? My brother was forgetting things. Who is getting your letters? My sister is getting my letters. Who was getting your letters? My sister was getting my letters. Who is going to the shop? My brother is going to the shop. Who was going to the shop? My brother was going to the shop. Who is having lunch with you? My uncle is having lunch with me. Who was having lunch with you? My uncle was having lunch with me. Who is hearing them? My teacher is hearing them. Who was hearing them? My teacher was hearing them. Who is holding the ladder? I am holding the ladder. Who was holding the ladder? I was holding the ladder. Who is knitting your socks? My mother is knitting my socks. Who was knitting your socks? My mother was knitting my socks. Who is learning with you? My sister is learning with me. Who was learning with you? My sister was learning with me. Who is losing the game? My friend is losing the game. Who was losing the game? My friend was losing the game. Who is making coffee? My mother is making coffee. Who was making coffee? My mother was making coffee. Who is paying the lunch? My uncle is paying the lunch. Who was paying the lunch? My uncle was paying the lunch. Who is saying something? My father is saying something. Who was saying something? My father was saying something. Who is shining your shoes? My friend is shining my shoes. Who was shining your shoes? My friend was shining my shoes. Who is shooting the ball? My brother is shooting the ball. Who was shooting the ball? My brother was shooting the ball. Who is standing near the door? My sister is standing near the door. Who was standing near the door? My sister was standing near the door. Who is understanding you? My brother is understanding me. Who was understanding you? My brother was understanding me. Pra ju dëshirojmë sukses, inqizimi u bë dhe përfundua me datën 27/12/2015. Edhe njëherë ju përshëndesim duke ju dëshiruar sukses. Ky ishte një përemër pyetës who, ku në të ardhmen do të kemi edhe përemrat pyetës tjerë që janë 6, where, ku, what, çka, why, pse, përse, when, kur, edhe kështu pra gjithsej do të ushtrojmë me të gjitha këto së bashku. Ju dëshirojmë sukses.